You are not falling asleep. You are crossing into the inner temple. You have entered this sacred chamber night after night without realizing where you were, without understanding what this moment truly is. But tonight, you are not just closing your eyes, you are returning to the sanctuary of the Most High. This is not rest for the body alone. This is the stillness that births worlds. The silence into which you are about to descend is not emptiness. It is fullness. It is the very womb of creation. And I tell you now, with the same authority that awakened Lazarus and calmed the storm, within this silence all things are made. The world you walk through each day is born in this holy stillness. And yet you treat it as if it were nothing. You call it sleep as though it were unconscious. But I call it return to the origin. Return to the I am that speaks worlds into form, without effort, without striving, without voice. You are not drifting off. You are being lowered slowly and gently, beyond the senses, past the flickering thoughts, into the hidden place where all true things are spoken. The veil of sleep is not darkness. It is the curtain of the Holy of Holies. It is the sacred partition that conceals the throne room of your inner being, the place where your word becomes flesh. As the outer world grows dim, the inner world glows brighter. This is the divine reversal. While the body weakens, the spirit strengthens. While the eyelids fall, the inner eye opens. While you are thought to be unconscious, you are becoming most conscious. For now there is no interference. Now there is no argument from the senses, no chatter of logic. Now only one voice speaks, and it is the voice of I am. Tonight I lead you across that threshold consciously. You will not slip into unconscious sleep as one who is unaware. You will glide into stillness as one who knows. This moment is sacred. You are standing at the inner altar. You are holding in your awareness the seed of the life you desire. And in the temple of sleep, that seed is planted, not by your effort, but by your being. This stillness is not absence, it is potency. The world believes silence is nothing. But I tell you, silence is God, and God is always creating. Let every thought fade now. Let every muscle rest. Let the body lie gently as if it were already fulfilled. Because it is, because you are. And now the temple door swings open. What you feel in the final moment becomes flesh. Hear me now, not with your outer ears, but with the ear behind the ear, the one that listens in silence, the one that hears the word when no sound is spoken. For I tell you a mystery, one hidden in plain sight, one veiled only by your disbelief. Your last conscious impression before sleep is the seed of tomorrow. It is not a stray idea, nor an idle dream. It is the decree of the Lord issued from the throne of I am, received by the infinite subconscious and made visible in the world of men. The moment before sleep is the moment of transfer, when the limited, conscious self hands the scroll to the limitless creative power within. And what is written on that scroll, what you truly believe, what you truly feel, what you accept as real in that holy instant, will not return void. It will accomplish that which you please. Not because you strive for it, not because you wish for it, but because you believed in its being. You may have spoken prayers aloud. You may have repeated affirmations 1,000 times. But if in that final exhale before the descent into sleep, you still hold a vibration of fear, of lack, of not yet, then that is the command that will be obeyed. For your subconscious is not moved by words alone. It is moved by state. It does not hear the language of your mouth. It hears the feeling tone of your heart, and it will outpicture what is spoken in that still language, fluent not in syllables, but in certainty. When you fall asleep angry, the law accepts anger as your decree. When you fall asleep longing, the law accepts absence as your truth. But when you fall asleep full of the end, full of the knowing that you already are, already have, already dwell in the thing you once sought, then the law is fulfilled. For it only mirrors what you are, and you, beloved, are always what you go to bed being. I do not ask you to fight the mind. I do not ask you to repeat until your throat is sore. I ask you only this, that you rest as the one you choose to be. Not imagine it coming, not hope for it tomorrow, but lay your head down tonight as if the world has already shifted, as if the email has already arrived, as if the love has already embraced you, as if the body is already healed, the bank already full, the freedom already lived. If you knew it were true, if you knew it were done, how would you rest? How would you breathe? How would you let go of today? That is the state, that is the feeling, that is the command. This is not imagination as pretense. This is imagination as prophecy. And your final inner vision, your final inner word, your final inner knowing. This is the first cause, and cause cannot help but create. So I ask you now, softly and without pressure, what shall you give the womb of God tonight? What shall you surrender into the fertile silence that never forgets? Will you offer it complaint, or will you offer it fulfillment? Will you bring the same old story to the altar, or will you step into a new name, a new identity, and rest in its fragrance? The choice is not difficult, it is immediate. For the gate of sleep is opening, and with it the gate of creation. Choose now. Choose with stillness. Choose with breath. Choose not with effort, but with faith, and let your last thought tonight become the birth of your next reality. Sage state, akin to sleep, is not merely a step in your manifestation process. It is not a technique to try, it is a threshold to cross. It is the still place where the veil between your surface mind and your deep eternal being grows thin, translucent, holy. It is the sacred edge between the outer man who toils and the inner man who knows. When you enter sights, you are not visualizing, you are not pretending, you are returning to the creative seat of God within. You are stepping beyond the turbulence of thought into the smooth, still waters where all things are possible. In this state, you do not try to make the desire come. You become the one in whom the desire is already fulfilled. You feel it as done. You rest in the feeling, not to get, but because you already are. This is the secret that was hidden from the wise and revealed unto babes, that creation is not built by force, but by assumption, impressed in quiet, sustained in faith. To define assets merely as the drowsy state between waking and sleep is to miss its majesty. Yes, it is that edge, that soft place where consciousness begins to descend and the critical faculties begin to dissolve. But it is more than that. It is the mystical mouth of creation. It is the space between two worlds, the fading illusion of the outer and the eternal power of the inner. It is the altar at which you meet God, not as a supplicant, not as a beggar, but as the Son. For here in Setates your identity is reformed. You are no longer the man who tries or waits or wants. You are the being who speaks, and it is so. You are the consciousness that creates not through striving but through feeling. Truthfully, in this state, you are more than human. You are the divine imaginer at work. You are the dreamer of reality, and the world will rise to match the rhythm you place within it. Do you understand now why this changes everything? Because the world as you know it is but the past echo of old assumptions, and sats is where new assumptions are made alive. It is the soil in which you bury your new name, your new self, your new identity, not with effort but with reverence. It is the ark upon which your desire is laid, and once it is impressed into the silence, it cannot be undone. The rains of evidence may take time to fall, but the covenant is sealed the moment you rest in the feeling of being. And this is why I call you now to treat sats not as an exercise, but as a nightly returning. You are not practicing. You are remembering. You are not forcing. You are aligning. Each night before you sleep, you enter this inner room, and what you do there is not casual. It is the word made flesh. It is written in a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, then he openeth the ears of men and sealeth their instruction. You see, even Scripture has pointed to this hour. It is not in the shouting, the ritual, or the outer discipline that man is transformed. It is in the softness, in the yielding, in the moment just before sleep takes you. When the senses fade and the imagination reigns, in that moment you are closest to the source. In that moment your instruction is sealed, not by struggle but by stillness. Sats is the hidden key that the world forgets. And yet it is here that you become one with your fulfilled desire. Tonight you will not pass blindly through this gate. Tonight you will enter as one who knows. You will lie down in the body but rise in spirit. You will feel the end not as a hope but as a memory. You will step into the state where it breatheth, rest in it. And the law eternal and unchanging will bring forth what you have conceived in silence. For imagination is the only reality. And in Setis, imagination becomes destiny. The world tells you that night is the end, that sleep is the fading of awareness, that rest is nothing more than a necessary surrender of the body to fatigue. But I tell you, now Night is not weakness. It is not absence. It is the hour of command. The night is not the end of creation. It is its holy beginning. You have been taught to worship the light, to seek clarity, action, and visibility as signs of power. But true power lies in the unseen, in the hidden, in the still. And there is no stillness deeper, no concealment more potent than the dark womb of night into which you descend each evening. The outer man slumbers, but the inner man awakens. For while the senses close, the subconscious opens its gates. While your body lies still upon the bed, your spirit ascends the mountain, and there it speaks with God. You may believe nothing is happening as you sleep, but I say unto you, everything is happening. The most sacred rearrangements of life are conceived, woven, and summoned in that invisible hour when you drift beneath the threshold of waking thought and enter the silence where I am reigns without rival. The outer world cannot comprehend this power because it seeks results in noise. But the law does not move by noise. The law moves by certainty. It answers not to activity but to alignment, and alignment is born in silence. Every empire is built first in the dark, within the mind, within the imagination, within the place that no eye sees and no hand touches. And you, beloved, are no different. Your wealth, your healing, your love, your purpose, they are not waiting out there in the bright hours of effort. They are here now within, waiting to be received in stillness and believed without proof. When you lie down to sleep, you do not leave life. You enter life's creative center. And if you understand this, if you treat the night not as rest, but as rain, you will discover that every day bends in obedience to what you decree in the still hours between the worlds. You must not squander the night with anxious review or passive exhaustion. You must not lay your head down as if defeated, as if dismissed by the day's failures. You must enter this hour as a king returns to his throne, as a priest approaches the altar, as a creator steps back into the workshop of form. Your mind now softened is clay, and you are the potter. What you impress now will be shaped. What you assume now will be sealed. What you imagine now will take root, and the morning will begin to echo your silent decrees. Let no man deceive you into thinking this is nothing. The world is full of those who hustle in daylight and sleep in defeat. But few understand that night belongs to the initiated. The sleeper who knows his power does not plead. He proclaims. He does not wonder. He decides. He does not repeat empty mantras. He enters the end and dwells there with joy. So as you lie down tonight, know this. You are not slipping away. You are stepping forward. You are not losing consciousness. You are returning to the center. The darkness is not emptiness. It is fullness awaiting form. The stars themselves were hung in this hour. The galaxies were spun in this sacred void. And now your own world will be reshaped, not by labor, not by logic, but by the silent knowing you carry into your sleep. The world obeys what you whisper into yourself. When no one is watching, whisper now with boldness. Whisper and let the universe rearrange itself around your word. It does not matter what words you speak if they are not clothed in the garments of felt belief. It is not your vocabulary that creates, it is your vibration. The subconscious does not respond to language. It does not listen to syllables or clever affirmations. It listens only to the music behind your words, the unspoken resonance, the emotional signature you carry into the temple of the night. Your subconscious, beloved, is the faithful servant of your innermost conviction. And though you may cry out with your mouth, I am wealthy, I am loved, I am free, if in your heart you still feel the ache of lack, the solitude of abandonment, or the chains of limitation, then it is that inner feeling, not your spoken phrase, that shall be obeyed. For the Lord does not look to your lips. It listens only to the incense rising from the altar of your emotional state. What you feel is what you decree. What you feel is what you are, and what you are is what the world will mirror. Emotion is not weakness. It is the sacred incense of prayer. Every great prophet, every mystic, every awakened soul has known this, whether they called it faith or surrender or the power of belief. It is not the thought of a thing that brings it forth, but the feeling of already having it. This is why desire, when tinged with anxiety, repels what it seeks. For though the mind says yes, the heart whispers no, and the subconscious always listens to the whisper. You must learn then to craft your feelings with care, not through force or control, but through holy selection. As a priest selects incense for the offering, so you must select your emotional states. Do not feel lack and call it realism. Do not feel doubt and call it discernment. Choose instead to feel the fragrance of the end fulfilled. Choose the scent of completion, of arrival, of rest, even if the world contradicts it, especially when it does. For faith is not the echo of evidence. It is the cause of it. As you prepare to sleep, you must ask not, what do I want to happen, but what am I now feeling to be true? And if that answer is worry, if that answer is fear, then pause. Do not enter the Holy of Holies in that vibration. Choose again. Speak not to impress your mind, but to shift your state. Let the inner dialogue turn from pleading to praise. Let your inner speech become the speech of one who already has. I remember when I lacked is more powerful than I want this now. For the former implies fulfillment, while the latter implies absence. And the subconscious does not question. It simply accepts. It accepts whatever you consistently feel to be true and then moves heaven and earth to reflect it. This is why sleep is sacred, because it is in this moment when the guard of reason falls and the doors of the heart open wide that your feeling becomes the command. So tonight, speak less and feel more. Let your breath slow, your muscles soften, and your heart settle into the tone of fulfillment. Visuals may come, words may rise. Let them, but do not strain, do not grasp. Simply enter the perfume of the state already fulfilled, and let it soak into your bones. Let your entire being hum with the frequency of it is done. You do not need to force belief. You only need to rest in it. The subconscious does not rush. It does not debate. It only receives. And what it receives through feeling, it creates through form. This is the secret of all creation. And it is yours now. Whether you believe it or not, whether you understand it or not, whether you trust it, resist it, honor it, or deny it, the law is always operating. It is not a switch to be turned on by faith and off by fear. It is not a force that pauses in sympathy for your weariness or confusion. It is not silent when you forget it, nor louder when you affirm it. It simply is. Just as gravity pulls without asking your permission, just as the heart beats whether you are conscious or not, the law of assumption, this divine mechanism by which your felt identity is cast into form, functions in every moment, including those you call unconscious. And perhaps most powerfully, in those very moments when your surface mind fades into sleep and the gates of the subconscious swing open. You may go to bed thinking you're not doing enough, but the law does not sleep. The law is listening. The law is receiving. The law is responding to your innermost state, not your performance. This is why I say unto you, sleep is not neutral. Sleep is not a void. Sleep is not an escape. It is a portal. And what you carry through that portal will become the blueprint for your waking life. Every emotion you allow to settle in you before sleep becomes a prayer without words. Every assumption you accept as reality before you surrender to the darkness is etched into the soft wax of your soul. And when you rise, that wax begins to harden into form. Most people do not realize this, and so they fall asleep inside the frequency of lack, conflict, disappointment, or doubt. They dream from the old self, and so they awaken to the same day repeated. They carry yesterday's identity into the infinite potential of night. And the law, ever faithful, mirrors that identity once more, but it need not be so. You have been given the gift of dominion. You may choose what to impress upon yourself before you sleep. You may consecrate your consciousness. You may offer the law a new pattern, and it will accept it not tomorrow, but now. There is no off switch. There is no suspension of consequence. Every thought felt with conviction is a seed, and the night is the garden in which those seeds take root. You are not safe from creation while you sleep. You are most exposed to it. But do not let this frighten you. Let it awaken you. Let it baptize your nights in awareness. You do not need to fear the law. You need only understand its faithfulness. It does not mock you. It does not play tricks. It does not delay out of cruelty. It simply reflects. It reflects what you are, what you feel, what you rest in. Not what you perform, but what you embody. The law never sleeps. So let your final moments before sleep be holy. Let them be clean. Let them be drenched in the fragrance of your fulfilled desire. Do not go to bed reviewing your regrets. Do not rehearse your limitations as labors. Do not meditate on the absence of what you long for. That is worshipping the old name. That is bowing to the shadow. Instead, rise within. ascend the inner hill and bring a new offering, a new feeling, a new assumption. I am already that. This is your nightly covenant. This is the altar on which the law feeds. And as surely as the sun will rise, what you plant in this fertile silence shall spring forth. For the law never sleeps, and neither does your creative power. There is something sacred about 21 days, not because the number itself holds magic, but because it